Oh, actually, I got something else for you. Listen, I want to tell you about this. It's a film. It's a Kenyan film. It's called Lost in Time. It's the psychological thriller shining some light on the issues of mental health. And actually, they're holding a screening right here in the borough of the Bronx. We're going to take a look at the trailer right now.
Listen to the sound of my voice.
Try to be responsible.
Yes, sir.
Give him a break for once. He's really been trying of late.
Takes more than trying, Jude. He can be trusted.
Why don't you move in with us? There's nothing stopping you now that he's gone.
Ladies, welcome home.
How do I look, Daddy?
Like the smartest and the most beautiful girl in the new school.
Sifa, I brought something for you. And I have a bigger surprise, yeah? I made a room for you in my house.
Sam, what's going on?
There's something strange going on at Michael's place.
Rubbish, Sam.
Jude, I saw them yesterday dragging someone in. And Lillian was slapping the guy. I think she saw me, so I just ran. Where is Sifa?
With Lillian?
Get out of my way. I need to go in there.
I can't let you do that, Sam. I won't allow you to.
Where is Sifa?
You know where she is. You do. We need to call the authorities.
Call the authorities and tell them what? That our friend and neighbor have our daughter.
Where's my little girl?
Well, as you saw, the movie went on October 24th of 2019 and continues to be a great hit. Joining us now to tell us more is the executive producer of the Lost in Time film, Jimmy Gore, who's also the executive producer and also Missionary. And good to have you, Jimmy.
Good to be here.
Good. Congratulations.
Thank you very much.
So this film actually won what's considered here in the United States Oscars and that magnitude out in Kenya. Talk about the film and, you know, your thoughts.
I think it was pretty exciting for us. This is our very first feature film for us to have done. We've done some short films, but this was the very first full-length film that we did, and it having received all this recognition was pretty exciting. The idea behind it was ideally to shed some light on the whole issue of mental health in Kenya. I don't come from a professional background in terms of the whole discussion around mental health, but we love stories. That's what we do in films. We tell stories. So one of the things that really stood out for us in that context in Kenya is that every other day there was actually news about suicide, about depression, you know, about violence at home. And they were quite... Last year, by the time we were really set on shooting the film, there was a story of a young man who just was doing very well in the corporate in Nairobi. He's getting promoted to a manager, and he commits suicide. He jumps off the 17th floor of his building. And everybody thought he was doing very well, by all means. Everything, family, he has a good family, but he was under pressure, a lot of depression. Apparently, he had had episodes. And that's just one of the many stories that we hear in the Kenyan media every other day. When we were actually doing research for the film, we realized that in Kenya, every day, 4 people commit suicide. That's the story. Every other day, there's a story of killings in family, more suicides. So at that point, we thought maybe we can do a short film just to highlight on the issue because we felt that this is something that probably needs to be discussed. The writer, Eddie Jokihara, is a friend of who is part of the team. He actually encountered a close family friend where they had the same issues as schizophrenia, depression, bipolar, and nobody was actually talking about it. In that context, it's much easier to hide someone who is going through depression or having some mental health challenge than talk about it because not much is known. So for us, yeah.
So here you are in the United States, right?
Yes.
And you're you have a screening. I'll talk about that in a few seconds.
Yeah.
But you're also making people aware of the mental illness crisis in Kenya.
Yeah.
Then you're also touching base with people here in the United States. Are you noticing a lot of different comparisons? Because you're from Nairobi.
Our coming actually to screen in the US was because there's someone who is a Kenyan, of Kenyan origin, who is actually here in New York, who heard about the film. And, you know, he started telling me stories of the Kenyans actually in diaspora who are going through different kind of challenges. I think one of the stories he shared is that the expectations once you leave Kenya or African country and you're coming to the US, somebody almost thinks, you know, there's someone waiting for you at the airport with a suitcase full of dollars, you know. So there's all that pressure of what people expect back home. And when you come, the reality is it's a different context. You go to, somewhere, community, you're different. One, in that context, most places like him, he was talking about a situation where he goes to a community where he's almost the only black person. And to make it worse, from the discussions, they realize he has an accent. So he's not just black, you know, he's really from an African origin. So there's a lot of pressure that also came with that. So he was like, you know, this is something that probably we also need to talk about because they also have issues of violence, domestic violence, and depression, you know, that's going on in that community itself. So it was actually an open invitation. Come and let's see if we can have discussions because that's all we are hoping to achieve. And
there's a great Kenyan population here in New York City and the borough of the Bronx. And I know over the course of the next couple of days, you'll have the opportunity to screen the film and be able to share with them. What are you hoping that people will be able to take away after watching Lost in Time?
Ours was to have people talking. I think that's the first step because for us the biggest challenge is nobody wants to talk about it. It's easier to dismiss and say, you know, it's a curse, or you know, have someone just pray it away, or simply just dismiss it. You know, if you're going through some tough challenges, you'll get over it. That's how it's easily dismissed. But we feel if something that is talked about, the first place is actually awareness and probably help. What we did in Kenya is that when we were screening, we tried to get some professionals who would come alongside and just try to break it down. What does this mean and how can you get help? And so for us, it's just a conversation starter.
All right, Jimmy Gore, our guest here, the executive producer of Lost in Time, as we said, winner of several awards in Kenya, here doing some screenings in the United States. Of course, you can see more about Lost in Time with yours truly and Jimmy. Bring it on to the other show, Perspectives. But I want to let you know now, the screening for Lost in Time film will be taking place today, which is Wednesday, January 29th, at 6:30 at the Affinity Bible Church, located at 1326 Morrison Avenue. For more information, you can check out their Facebook at Film Lab Kenya and their Twitter at Film Lab KE. And then we've come to the end of our show today. Want to thank all of our guests for joining us. Most of all, you, the viewer, for tuning in. Now, if you missed any part of today's show, you can catch the recablecast at 5 and 10 p.m. on Optimus Channel 67, Verizon Files Channel 33, anytime on the web at bronxnet.org. You can catch a brand new episode of Open with my girl, Rena Valentine, on Friday. That about wraps it up for us here on the set of Open. I'm Daren Jaime, saying make sure to keep this channel wide open. Special thanks and hello to all of our people who are watching on the MNN channel. My sister Ann, good to see you. We'll be talking to you real soon. And the family, listen, take care. God bless. We'll see you soon.